Before we can talk about the end of the universe, we have to begin at the very start. Not the start of the story, not the birth of a planet or a star, but the birth of everything. The universe's first breath, the first flicker of light in the void, the moment when nothing became something. It wasn't an explosion in space. It was the expansion of space, an unfolding, a release. From a point smaller than anything we can imagine, a singularity holding all energy, all matter, and every future possibility, the universe burst into being. In that moment, time itself began. There was no before, only this, a flash of unimaginable heat and blinding light, a storm so intense it defied all logic, all sense. Within a trillionth of a second, everything changed. Space stretched faster than the speed of light. The very laws of physics emerged from the chaos. Energy condensed into particles. Particles formed atoms. Atoms formed the first elements, hydrogen and helium. Simple, but essential. These were the raw materials of everything, every star, every galaxy, every world. Every breath we take began in that fire. Imagine a universe smaller than a grain of sand, swelling outward, not into emptiness, but creating space as it expanded, writing the rules of reality with each passing nanosecond. It was a beginning full of violence and beauty, a perfect storm of order and chaos, painting the first strokes on the blank canvas of existence. And woven into that first moment, into the very structure of space-time, was a quiet truth, a truth the universe has never forgotten. Everything that begins must end, but that end is not now, not yet. We are still close to the beginning, still walking the early footsteps of the cosmos. And so our journey starts here, with a breath of light and a question that echoes through time. If this is how it all began, how will it end? After the universe took its first breath, it began to exhale. What followed wasn't chaos, but a slow, deliberate unfolding, a graceful dance that played out across the canvas of time. From turbulence came rhythm, from fire came form. Gravity, the quiet sculptor of the cosmos, began its tireless, invisible work, tugging at clouds of hydrogen and dust, gently, relentlessly, pulling matter inward, pressing it tighter until the pressure lit a flame. Stars were born, not in a single moment, not all at once, but slowly, across millions of years, the night began to light itself. Each star a furnace, turning hydrogen into helium, radiating warmth into the cold emptiness. Some spun alone, distant and quiet. Others gathered into vast galactic families, orbiting shared centers like dancers around a common rhythm. And from the chaos around them, planets began to form. From rock, ice, dust, and gas. Tiny embers trailing the spark, falling into orbit, becoming homes for possibilities. Then galaxies appeared, swirling cities of light, each one a billion stars strong, spiraling outward through a universe that never stopped expanding. But even in this beauty, there was a quiet warning, because nothing in the universe is built without cost. Every act of creation is also an act of destruction. Stars form by collapsing clouds, clouds that must be torn apart to make room for fire. Some stars burn slow and steady, others erupt in final violent moments, supernovae that blaze so brightly they outshine entire galaxies for a brief and final breath. And in those deaths, they give us everything: iron, carbon, oxygen, the ingredients of oceans, of mountains, of breath. Without their destruction, there would be no us. Even galaxies aren't spared. They drift, they collide, they consume one another, and in the aftermath, they rebuild. It is a temporary symphony, a cosmic balance between birth and death, light and shadow, growth and decay, and yet, within this impermanence, there is order, a strange kind of harmony woven from the threads of entropy. We look up and think the stars are fixed, steady, eternal, but they too are vanishing, their light reaching us from across time, messages from a past that no longer exists. And maybe that's the most haunting truth of all. Even beauty must end, but not yet. The music still plays, and for now, we are part of the dance. There is a law in this universe, older than stars, more certain than gravity, more patient than time itself. It doesn't blaze or roar. It doesn't carve mountains or ignite stars. It simply waits. A quiet whisper beneath the music of the cosmos. Entropy, the slow unraveling of order. The gentle drift from structure to chaos. The clock that never stops ticking. According to the second law of thermodynamics, in every closed system, disorder must increase. Not sometimes, not eventually, always. It's not written in stone. It's etched into the fabric of reality, the mathematics of decay, the poetry of inevitable loss. From the moment the universe took its first breath, entropy began its rise, invisible, unstoppable, a force as real as light but far more patient. You can see it everywhere. In the slow crumbling of mountains, in the fading warmth of a forgotten cup of coffee, in the way memories soften, blur, and disappear. It's why heat spreads, why buildings collapse, why everything, eventually, falls apart. In the beginning, the universe was hot, dense, and uniform, paradoxically, ordered. Now, it's colder, bigger, more fragmented, more complex, but also more chaotic, more entropic. Stars burn bright, then dim, galaxies drift apart, each one slowly pulled from the others by the stretching of space. Even black holes, those cosmic predators, will one day evaporate into silence. Entropy doesn't destroy with violence, it doesn't wage war, it doesn't need to. It simply ensures that all things lose their balance, that every flame will fade, that every structure, every pattern will dissolve into randomness. It is not cruel, it is not kind, it simply is. You can delay it, resist it, momentarily reverse its effects, but you cannot escape it. Entropy is the great equalizer, the soft tide pulling all things towards stillness, not with malice, but with certainty. And so, even as the stars burn and galaxies spin and life dances in brief flashes across distant worlds, a quiet countdown has already begun, not toward tomorrow, but toward the end of everything. Everything that shines must one day dim, even stars. These celestial giants, so steady, so eternal seeming, are not immune to time. They live long lives, yes, but they are lives nonetheless. And like all lives, they end. But not all stars die the same way. Some fade quietly, a gentle bow. Others collapse in fury, a final scream written in fire. Their destiny is carved in their mass. The smallest stars, called red dwarfs, live slowly. They sip their fuel over trillions of years, gently glowing in the dark. No spectacle, no farewell, just a long, slow dimming, until all that remains is a cold ember drifting through eternity. A death so quiet, the universe may hardly notice. Our sun will follow a different script. When its core exhausts its last breath of hydrogen, gravity begins to win. The core contracts, tightens, heats, the outer layers swell outward until the sun becomes something monstrous, a red giant, bloated, unstable, dying. In its final acts, it sheds its outer layers like petals in slow motion. What's left behind is a glowing shell, a planetary nebula, drifting like a ghost through space. At the heart of this haunting beauty remains a white dwarf, no longer fusing, no longer changing, just glowing faintly, a cinder where a sun once lived, a final whisper. But some stars, the massive ones, they go out in violence. When they exhaust their fuel, the collapse is sudden. The core implodes, the outer layers rebound in a cataclysmic blast, a supernova. For a moment, that dying star can outshine entire galaxies, a single life, burning brighter than 100 billion others. And then, silence. What remains depends on what survives. Sometimes, what's left behind is a neutron star, an object so dense a teaspoon would weigh 1 billion tons. Some spin rapidly, emitting beams of radiation from their poles, each flash a heartbeat, a lighthouse in the cosmic dark. We call them pulsars. But if the star is massive enough, even neutrons cannot hold back the collapse. The core falls in on itself, endlessly. No force in the universe can stop it. What's born is not an object, but a boundary, a black hole, not a thing, but a place where the known laws of physics unravel, where space folds and time slows to a crawl, where gravity becomes so absolute, not even light can escape. But even this is not the final chapter. Black holes evaporate. White dwarfs cool to black. Neutron stars lose their spin. In time, they all fall silent. The stars that once stitched the sky with fire, that forged the atoms in our bones, will fade into darkness, and the universe will grow colder, quieter, lonelier. One by one, the candles are going out, and the night is reclaiming what once burned bright. The stars are dying, and with them, the galaxies fall silent. There was a time when the universe blazed with light, galaxies thrived, bustling, brilliant cities of creation. Stars were born by the billions, igniting like sparks across the dark. Each one a promise, each one a beginning. But that time is slipping away. The gas that fuels new stars, hydrogen and helium drifting through galactic arms, is vanishing, burned, locked inside aging suns. What remains is sparse, thin, cold. Star formation slows, then falters, then stops. The great stellar nurseries, those glowing clouds of gas and dust, fall dark, empty. No more stars are born, no more planets, no more light to replace what is fading. The galaxies begin to change. They no longer shimmer with youthful fire, but with the tired glow of ancient stars nearing their end. Spiral arms that once spun with color and chaos become faint outlines, like echoes of laughter in a room long since abandoned. Once they were cities of light. Now they are ghost towns adrift in the dark. And as the brilliance dims, something else rises. Black holes. At the center of every galaxy, they wait, silent, patient, immense. Some spin with the mass of billions of suns, born in the age of light, but destined to rule the age of darkness. As stars fall into them, as galaxies drift and collide, their cores consumed. Black holes feed. They absorb. They grow, larger, heavier, hungrier. In time, they will be the last giants standing, not because they shine, but because they endure. Imagine a future hundreds of billions of years from now, where galaxies no longer sparkle, where stars no longer rise, where light has become rare and the night stretches endlessly, a universe adrift, lit only by the dying red embers of ancient suns and the unseen pull of invisible monsters lurking in every shadow. This is not a violent end, not fire, not collapse, but a slow extinguishing, like an orchestra fading one instrument at a time, until only the silence remains, and that silence echoes forever. When the stars are gone, their fuel spent, their fire extinguished, and what remains are shadows, not darkness, but absence. Absence of warmth, of light, of motion. The last to shine were the white dwarfs, the quiet remnants of stars like our sun, glowing cinders still warm with memory. But even they have had their time. Trillions upon trillions of years have passed, longer than the universe has existed, tenfold, 100-fold, until their faint light faded entirely, and what's left behind? Something no one has ever seen, something that, for now, only exists in theory, a black dwarf. Cold, dead, utterly still. A sphere of carbon and oxygen, compressed to stellar density, but with no glow, no fire, no heat. A fossil of starlight. They do not shine, they do not collapse, they do not explode, they simply are, scattered like forgotten bones across an infinite frozen graveyard. Around them, nothing stirs. No orbiting planets, no passing comets, no rays of light to cast shadows, only the tick of time, a tick so slow it barely moves, a rhythm so faint it might as well be silence. In this far future, the temperature of the cosmos sinks near absolute zero. Even atoms, once full of motion, now tremble in place, too cold to move. No heat, no reaction, no change. And without change, what is time? With no sunrise, no decay, no cause, no effect, a second becomes no different than a century. Time does not end, but it becomes hollow, a shell without meaning. And in this hollow stillness, a few final relics remain. Black dwarfs, neutron stars, black holes. The last echoes of a once luminous cosmos, drifting endlessly through an ocean of black. They do not speak, they do not shine, but they are reminders, reminders of what once was, a universe ablaze with light, burning with wonder, overflowing with possibility. Now, reduced to embers that no longer glow, ashes that no longer smolder. And yet, even this cold, silent grave, is not the final page, not yet. The last black hole evaporates. Its final whisper of radiation drifts into a space that no longer listens, and with it, the last structure in the universe disappears. No stars, no galaxies, no planets, no light, no warmth. Nothing remains but a vast, frozen emptiness. This is the Dark Era, a time when the cosmos forgets it ever shone. There are no observers now, no life, no thought, no memory, no boundary between what is and what was. Only a scattering of the smallest particles, neutrinos, photons, perhaps a lone electron, wandering, drifting through a space that will never again ignite. But even these particles are strangers now. The expansion of the universe has stretched space so thin, so wide, that they may never meet again. Collisions become rare, then impossible. Each particle moves through a void so empty, it may as well be alone in all of existence.
There is no heat to transfer, no gravity to bind, no light to cast shadows, just motion, without meaning. Time still passes, but without change, it loses its purpose. A second, a million years, 10,000 lifetimes of stars. What's the difference in a universe that has gone quiet forever? And so, the cosmos persists, not in glory, not in fire, but in a soft, endless dark. It is not death, because death implies an end. This is simply what remains after everything else is gone. A blank canvas stretched to infinity, unmarked, unmoved, unseen. And yet, even here, in this profound stillness, a question lingers. Is this truly the end? Or is it the space between endings and beginnings?
Now we enter the loneliest chapter of all. The lights are gone, the black holes are dying, the orchestra of creation has finished its final note. And what remains is stillness. This is the degenerate era, an age without stars, without galaxies, without anything we once called structure. Only the most stubborn remnants of matter endure, disting, descending into more nothing, forever. This is not a tragic end. There is no pain, no struggle, just a silence. A stillness so complete, it is beyond language, beyond thought, beyond time. The degenerate era is not destruction, it is surrender. The final exhale of a cosmos that once danced with fire. The last black hole evaporates. Its final whisper of radiation drifts into a space that no longer listens. And with it, the last structure in the universe disappears. No stars, no galaxies, no planets, no light, no warmth. Nothing remains but a vast, frozen emptiness. This is the dark era, a time when the cosmos forgets it ever shone. There are no observers now, no life, no thought, no memory, no boundary between what is and what was. Only a scattering of the smallest particles, neutrinos, photons, perhaps a lone electron wandering, drifting through a space that will never again ignite. But even these particles are strangers now. The expansion of the universe has stretched space so thin, so wide, that they may never meet again. Collisions become rare, then impossible. Each particle moves through a void so empty, it may as well be alone in all of existence. There is no heat to transfer, no gravity to bind, no light to cast shadows, just motion without meaning. Time still passes, but without change, it loses its purpose. A second, a million years, 10,000 lifetimes of stars. What's the difference in a universe that has gone quiet forever? And so the cosmos persists, not in glory, not in fire, but in a soft, endless dark. It is not death, because death implies an end. This is simply what remains after everything else is gone. A blank canvas stretched to infinity, unmarked, unmoved, unseen. And yet, even here in this profound stillness, a question lingers. Is this truly the end, or is it the space between endings and beginnings?
we stand at the far edge of time, looking not forward but outward into the fate of everything. We've watched stars be born, we've seen them die, we've walked through silence, through ash, through the final breath of galaxies. But how does it all truly end? Cosmologists have imagined many futures, but three rise above the rest, each a different echo of entropy, each a final note in the symphony of the cosmos. The slow surrender. This is the most widely accepted fate. A universe not destroyed, but exhausted. Every star burned out. Every black hole evaporated. Every particle too distant to ever touch another. No more gradients, no more change, no more complexity. The universe does not collapse. It does not explode. It simply fades into uniform temperature, uniform emptiness, perfect stillness, a state of maximum entropy, the heat death of the universe. Not fire, not ice, but a lukewarm hush that stretches forever. The infinite drifting closely related to heat death, but colder. As dark energy continues its push, galaxies become islands, then specks, then vanish from one another's view entirely. Stars die, black holes fade, even atoms drift apart. The universe expands faster and faster and faster still, until what remains is so spread, so silent, it might as well not exist. A cosmic loneliness deepens. Everything freezes, but never truly ends. It simply drifts, endlessly. The violent unraveling. But what if the expansion doesn't just continue? What if it accelerates beyond control? This is the Big Rip, where dark energy grows stronger with time. Not a constant, but a rising tide. Galaxies tear apart, then stars, then planets, then atoms. Even space itself stretches, fractures, unravels, until the laws of physics no longer apply, until time, space, and matter are torn asunder, in a final, all-consuming surge. A cataclysm not of fire, but of disintegration. If this is our fate, it ends not in silence, but in rupture. The universe does not fade, it shatters. And so, we are left with possibilities, all terrifying, all beautiful, all honest, a slow fading, a quiet freeze, or a sudden tear. Each theory has its own poetry, its own truth, and none may ever be certain, because the future, like the birth of the cosmos, is still being written. And we, tiny observers, brief flickers of thought in the vast, dark sea, can only imagine what it means for something as immense as the universe to die, or perhaps to begin again. We've reached the end. The stars have gone silent. The galaxies have faded. Time itself feels tired, and yet a question lingers, software persistent, like a heartbeat in the dark. Is this truly the end, or is it simply the end for now? Because some believe the universe may not die, but sleep, and one day wake again. A universe that breathes. What if the Big Bang wasn't the beginning, but the echo of a universe that came before? In this theory, the cosmos expands, then slows, then collapses inward, back into itself, a singularity reborn. And from that collapse, another explosion, another beginning, another chance. This is the Big Bounce, a cyclical universe that doesn't end, but pulses, a cosmic breath, in and out, over and over, without end. No memory of the last cycle, just infinite rebirth, endless variation, a new set of stars, a new kind of life, a new version of everything. time with no beginning and no end. Some scientists imagine an even broader rhythm, not just bouncing matter, but a deeper, eternal loop. Dark energy builds, entropy resets, laws evolve, universes repeat. Each cosmic cycle may take trillions of years, but each leaves a subtle trace, a ghost in the background radiation, a whisper in the fabric of space. We don't know if it's true. We may never know. But the mathematics suggests it's possible. The universe may not be a straight line, but a circle. Are we the code or the coder? And then there are stranger possibilities. What if the universe isn't physical at all, but a simulation? A program running on some unfathomable machine, created by minds we cannot imagine. In this view, reality is information, patterns, rules and loops executed across time. If that's true, then the end may not be entropy, but a shutdown or a reboot, a new seed, a new run, with new parameters, not bound by physics, but by purpose. It sounds like science fiction, and perhaps it is, but as quantum theory, computation, and cosmology converge, we must ask, what is reality, and who, if anyone, is watching? These are not answers, not certainties, just possibilities, speculations whispered into the vast dark by minds yearning for meaning. Maybe the universe ends. Maybe it begins again. Maybe it always was. Maybe we're dreaming. But what matters is this: we are here, now in a universe that burns, fades, and wanders. And whatever comes next, we were part of the story, a chapter, a moment, a breath. So, what does it all mean? This journey through time, from the universe's first breath to its final silence. What are we supposed to make of it? We are so small, so impossibly brief, a flicker in the darkness between two eternities. And yet, we wonder. We look up at the stars, not just to map them, but to understand ourselves. Because when we speak at the end of the universe, we're not just talking about physics or time. We're talking about meaning, about us. What does it mean to love, to suffer, to build, to dream? If it all ends in cold silence, what does it mean to care, to create, to be kind, in a universe that will forget we were ever here? These are not new questions. They are the quiet ache behind every painting, every religion, every song sung under the stars. But perhaps the answer is simpler than we think. Maybe it means that our moments, however small, matter more, not less, because they are fleeting, because they are fragile, because in a universe destined to go cold, we burn. For a while we shine. We are the voice that rose from dust, the eyes that dared to look back on creation and ask, what is this? Why am I here? Does any of it matter? And by asking, we made it matter. Maybe the universe doesn't need us, but maybe it is more beautiful because we were here to witness it, because we turned atoms into meaning, because we turned silence into music, because we turned dying stars into poetry. So what does it all mean? It means this: you, here, now a single thought, held in the mind of a fading universe, a spark, a breath, a light in the dark, and that is enough. And then there is silence, no stars, no galaxies, no fire, no motion, only the endless stretch of cold space, quiet, unfolding, unchanging. The story is over. The lights have gone out. The echoes have faded. There is no audience now, no one to watch, no one to remember, no one to begin again. Just the final stillness, not a tragedy, not a triumph, just peace. The universe, after eons of burning, collapsing, reaching, dreaming, has exhaled its last breath, and in that breathless dark, there is nothing more to say. If you've made it this far, thank you. You've just traveled through gravity, time, fear, and wonder. And that was only one story. There are countless more, waiting in the shadows of stars, at the edge of black holes, and beyond the veil of what we think we know. If this journey moved you, like the video, leave a comment. Tell me what you felt, what you saw, what you still wonder. Subscribe to join the journey, one tale at a time, one mystery at a time, right here at Across the Cosmos.